Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Migwi. And now we shift gears and talk about matters to do with nurses. And this week is Nurses Week, which is celebrated all over the world. And the theme for this year's is Nurses Make the Difference. So we are just going to have a little talk about nurses' contribution in the health sector and a little bit about the myths and misconceptions about nurses. And to help me in this conversation in studio, I'm joined by Nancy Kengori, who is a renal nurse manager. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing this morning?
I am well.
Yes. You are a renal nurse manager. What does that all involve?
Okay, renal nursing is taking care of patients who have kidney problems. When the kidneys have failed, and we support the kidneys so that the body is able to perform its functions.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, nurses deal with a lot of medical cases, and some situations are very charged. How do you balance that situation and also keeping in touch, giving the family of the patient the right information?
Okay, how we do that is, first of all, being a nurse, you have to be very patient, and you have to be a good listener. You listen to them and find out their fears and reassure their fears they are having. Once you reassure their fears, now you're able to help them and guide them on how they are going to handle the problem they are having, or the situation they are having.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm also intrigued to ask, what inspired you to become a nurse?
Okay. Nursing is caring. It's caring for people who are sick,
Yes.
either sick or well, so that they're able to recover or contribute to their health and maybe facilitate a peaceful death. So nursing being a caring profession, since I was young, I was a very caring person, and I felt like I needed to step in and help people who are in need. And I think that pushed me and drove me to joining nursing. Yes.
About that, now, when it comes to nursing, sometimes nurses feel undervalued, underappreciated. Why do you think that is?
Okay. Why nurses feel undervalued at times is because most of the times people don't understand what nursing entails and the work they do. And also when we come to the appreciation, most of the time you find that the people we deal with, they are under severe stress, and they don't really acknowledge the effort you're putting to help their patients, or rather their relatives. So, and also we have the relatives, we have the institutions, and also we have the government. And why nurses feel undervalued is that most of these three parties do not really understand that nurses need a lot of support to be able to deliver care in terms of facilities, in terms of remuneration, and also in terms of support as the entire nursing fraternity. Yes.
There are cases where people opt to go do nursing outside the country. Is it more rewarding there as opposed to the country?
Yes, it is. When nurses go outside the country to work there,
yes,
especially at a time like now, we have a lot of nurses who are moving to the US to work there. It's because they are more appreciated there, and they make a lot of money. That is actually, and also when they go to school there, they're able to balance their school and work, and they're able to accomplish their education in a shorter time as compared to here in Kenya.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, now nurses do a lot of work, and especially they are one of the key pillars in terms of healthcare provision, and also Sorry about that. And also making sure patients are well attended to, patients are getting the right medicine with time. From your own experience, what would you say is one big lesson that you have learned from your work as a renal nurse?
Okay, one of the lessons that I've learned in my career as a nurse, I've learned that small things make a difference. So a small thing you're doing to the patient might help this patient a lot. So you don't need to do huge things, but small things that you do to help this patient, to help this family, they appreciate, and the outcome is much improved.
Yes.
Yeah,
are there cases where you deal with rowdy patients?
Yes, we have had cases where we have very rowdy patients, but in such a situation, you maintain your calm, you be patient, listen and try to explain to the, it can either be a patient, it can either be a relative. So long as you're calm and you listen to them and you explain why things are happening the way they are happening, most of the patients, they tend to listen and they are able to calm down.
Yes. We'll be talking more about why nurses should be appreciated more, and maybe even their working conditions be enhanced, but we'll do that when we come back from this short break. Don't go too far. All right, you're watching A Good Morning Kenya right here on KBC Channel 1. My name is Mike Migwi. It's all about the nurses, celebrating nurses during this week, which started on May 6th and is ending on 12th of May. And let me come back to you. Why do you think nurses' appreciation is important?
Nurses' appreciation is important because, one, nurses are the people who bring life to the world. We are with the patients when they are when life is getting to the world, and we are with this person throughout their entire journey. Yes. And also we are with this person as they are departing the world. Yeah. So nurses, they are people who are present in everyone's life throughout the course of their journey in this world. Yes. And if nurses are appreciated, they will take good care of the patients, and they will also help the people to have good health, be able to take care of their health, and this will also help the country or the world. Yeah. Yeah, because when we have a healthy nation, healthy people, healthy nation. Yes. Yes.
Well, what about change in perspectives? Because there are different perspectives that people have when it comes to nurses. Now that you're celebrating this Nurses Week, what is one perspective you would want the masses to change when it comes to nurses?
Okay, one perspective that I would want the mass or the public to change about nurses is that nurses are health advocates, and they need to understand that the nurses stand for health, and we are here to help the community at large to have good health and to improve the quality of life of the people of the country. Yes. Yes.
What about policy? Are there things that policy makers need to focus on and change and enhance how nurses work?
Yes. The policy makers, what they need to change is that, first of all, the facilities where nurses work, the hospitals, the supplies, because you can't work without anything. So the policy makers would increase the funding to the health sector so that the nurses are able to get what they require to work with: the gloves, the linen, drugs for the patients, and also the facility, the hospitals themselves. If the hospitals are conducive, healing drives in good conditions. Yeah. So if that is changed, we would wish the government nurses will be able to offer good care to the patients. Yes.
Of course, you're dealing with people from all walks of life. How do you navigate the cultural diversity of the patients that you are dealing with?
Okay, first of all, cultures needs to be respected, and as nurses, we respect different cultures for different people. That means the cultures, the religious beliefs, and also we get some patients with some language barriers also. You also need to respect that. And for this, what happens is that if you're not understanding their language, you get an interpreter who is able to interpret what the patient is telling you, and also to interpret back to the patient.
Yes.
And as you're getting this interpreter, you also need to maintain confidentiality of the patient. So you don't just get anybody to come and do the interpretation. You get professionals who are able to do this work, so that you're able to maintain the confidentiality of the patient.
Yes. You know, we may sit here and not talk so much about mental health on the part of nurses, but you are human beings.
Yes.
You deal with so many medical cases. And are there times when nurses feel overwhelmed mentally? And if so, how do you debrief to ensure you maintain sobriety throughout your operations?
Through Mike, most of the time we work under intense pressures, and the work is a lot. And sometimes we get some situations that require some mental support. And what happens is that there's a lot of debriefing within the departments, within the shifts, within the nurses, within the group of nurses. When you get a situation that you feel overwhelmed about, you always group up together, you talk about it, you debrief. At times you get some support from the counselors. They are able to talk to us and help us to debrief. Also, what we do, because of burnout and fatigue, we encourage one another to take breaks, because you can't just work without break. You will get burnout. So we are encouraged to take breaks in between so that we are able to overcome this.
Are there cases of PTSD in nursing? Because I'm picturing a situation where you're dealing with very serious medical cases, but we all are human beings. And that in a way might, I don't know, might affect you as a person. Do you have cases of PTSD in nursing?
Apparently no, because by the time you're getting the trauma, when you get the patient, you're prepared for the patient. Psychologically, you've undergone a training, and you know the expectation, you know the prognosis of the condition. So by the time you're seeing this patient, in your mind, you know this is the prognosis of this state. And psychologically, you're prepared. So I've not encountered such a case myself.
But we cannot rule them out.
We can't rule out completely, but I've not encountered one.
But there are mechanisms put in place to ensure nurses debrief and talk about their experiences.
Sure.
So let me ask, how do you handle cases where you have been, situations where you have taken care of a patient, but this patient has transitioned? How do you handle such?
Okay, depends on different situations. But most of the time what happens is that after demise of a patient, there is a debrief. Immediately after there is a demise, there is a debrief of the group. The group sits down together. They talk through the situation. And by talking through the situation, it's a form of therapy. And also, at times, one can feel like this is still not enough. We go ahead and seek help from the psychologist who is able to talk to us, we're able to talk to them, and then we are able to get help. Are there initiatives you believe that can be put in place to enhance or promote the professional well-being and development of nurses? Sure. Okay. What can be put in place to promote the professional development of nurses is like we have ongoing conferences for the nurses that nurses go and they learn, they refresh their knowledge. And also we have a lot of research that is also in progress by nurses that is meant to improve nursing. Yeah.
How about cases, study leaves, and going back to school to enhance your knowledge? Do you have that window? Does your profession allow that?
It has. It has that. Depends from institution to institution, but most of the institutions we have study leaves. We have a lot of. Normally, nursing is it's a profession that entails continuous learning. So that is there's a lot of emphasis on back to school study leaves. You find that most of the nurses keep learning throughout the journey of their profession. It's not like you went to school, you finished, and that's it. So there is that allowance that happens for most of the nurses, but it depends from one institution to another.
Okay. How has, in your own perspective, how has nursing embraced technology in making sure that they are providing quality healthcare to patients?
Nurses have not left behind in terms of technology. In most of the places now, when you go, you will find most of the nurses are now doing online documentation. We are doing online requests. We are getting orders online, and we are also having nurses who are also learning online. So I can say that if there is a profession that has embraced technology, it's the nursing profession.
And there's, excuse me, and there's no way that the advent or the inclusion of technology is going to affect the job security of nurses?
For now, no, because it's making work easier. And as you know, in the country, in our country, Kenya, we are short of personnel. So it's making us now concentrate more on the patient care other than on these other things. So I can say that the advent of technology is not taking away our jobs. Yes.
Talk about, you've said in the country we are experiencing shortage of personnel. What is contributing to that in your own perspective?
I think it is looking for greener pastures. Like when nurses go out there, they get good money and they're able to advance their knowledge. So, and they are also able to get good life there. So
what would you say are the biggest challenges that nurses of today are facing in as far as exercising their duties and giving top quality healthcare is concerned? What are some of the challenges?
The challenges that nurses of today are facing is that one of the challenges is lack of equipment. Most of the time in government hospitals, you find that they don't have what they need. They don't have the requirements that they need to work with. And also the infrastructure. You find that most of the hospitals in Kenya, they are congested, they are not conducive, and also the payment. Most of the nurses are going to the US because of pay. So
how would you, if you're given a chance to address the government, how do you want them to address the challenges that you have just outlined?
I would urge our government to improve the working conditions of the nurses. First of all, to give us supplies, give us enough requirements, and also to give us remuneration in terms of payments and other privileges that can help improve the provision of care to the patients.
Well, the doctor's strike is still ongoing.
Yes, it is.
And how would you assess the situation right now in hospitals as a nurse? Is that giving you an overwhelming kind of work, or how is the situation?
Okay, I may not be able to say it clearly because I work in a private hospital, but we are also experiencing that because most of the patients are coming to us, and by the time the patients are coming, they're already very sick, and you can now only imagine what is happening to those patients who are not able to come to us. And it is a bad situation, because if you see patients who are able to come, they are coming already very sick. What of those patients who are not able to afford the private hospitals?
Yes. Now, talk about the Nurses Week. What is it all about? Because it's themed Nurses Make the Difference. Why do you think nurses make the difference?
Okay, first of all, the Nurses Week. Why we celebrate the Nurses Week?
Yes.
The Nurses Week is celebrated between 6th to 12th May. And on 12th May is when we have the birthday of our founder, that is the Florence Nightingale. She's the founder of the modern nursing, and that is why we celebrate our Nurses Week during this time. Why we are celebrating it now is that we want nurses to make a difference. Like we are making a difference in the patients, in the people's life. And this making a difference could be a smile, could be just a reassurance. And we would want the public to also be engaged in this Nurses Week and help us celebrate our profession and appreciate us more also, because we are also humans, we need to be appreciated. But the more reason we celebrate our Nurses Week, it is to focus on our nursing profession and to let the world know what we are doing to these patients. Yeah.
So is there a way that, how would you want the public to appreciate you? There are many ways of appreciating, but how would you want the public to appreciate you?
How we would want the public, first of all, they need to know that the work nurses do, it's not just giving injections. We do more than giving injections. We help the people, whether they are sick or not sick. The public needs to understand that they need to come to us for information, how they are going to improve their life, and where to seek which information, so that when they know where to seek the information and how to seek it, they will also be involved in our Nurses Week, because they will be aware of what we do to help the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, the patient-nurse relationship is important. Stress on why people need to take it more seriously, especially in a medical setting, because you'll find, as we have highlighted, some patients may be rowdy, some are not even adhering to the instructions that you give. Why is that relationship very important?
Patient-nurse relationship is very, very important, because if you are a patient and you're not giving this nurse the environment to be able to take good care of you, that means that she will not provide the best care to you. And you need to give her some space, because if you're very rowdy to this nurse who is still attending to you, at times, but very rare cases, we find that some patients, they abuse the nurses.
Yeah.
And the environment is not very good for the provision of care. But most of the time, you find that as nurses, we've been taught on how to handle this patient, because this is a patient, and they may be having something is triggering them to behave in the manner they are behaving.
Yeah.
So most of the people who are very rowdy actually are the relatives, not the patient. The patient is sick and needs help, but you find that the relatives are not able to give that environment to the nurses so that they're able to take care of this patient. So, but we request that if they can maintain some professionalism when they are having the nurses, when they are with the nurses, so that the nurse is able to take good care of the patients. Yeah.
How do you prevent burnouts? And how do you prioritize self-care? Because it's very important when you are working in a medical environment and you are dealing with human life. How do you prioritize self-care and also matters to do with taking care of burnouts?
Okay, how we prioritize self-care is that we have off days we don't work continuously and we work in shifts. And during these shifts, we also have breaks in between.
Yes.
So we take our breaks, we take our off days, and also during our free time, we are encouraged to do hobbies, what makes us happy, so that we are able to distance ourselves from work, and so that by the time we are coming back to work again, we'll have relaxed. Yes.
What are the lessons you have learned in your renal nursing profession? What are the lessons that you have learned?
Okay, in my renal nursing profession, I have learned a lot of things, and one of the things that I have learned is that you have to be very patient with these renal patients. You really have to be a very good listener to them, because as you know that patients who have been sick for quite some time, most of our renal patients, they've been sick for many years, and they need somebody to talk to. They need somebody to reassure them, and so I've learned to be a very good listener and to be very patient. Yes.
What is your message to the nurses out there and the public now that you're celebrating the Nurses Week?
Okay. My message to the nurses out there is to tell you to keep up the good job that you're doing. Keep up, keep reading, keep learning, and let's embrace our profession, and let's move with our patients. To the public out there, I would also want to thank you for being there for us, and I would want each and everybody, each and every one of us, to take their health as a priority, so that we are able to lead a healthy life. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us on Good Morning Kenya and talking about nurses and their contribution in the health profession. We hope to host you another time and talk more on what you are doing in that sector. Before I even close, I want to send a shout out to one nurse. Her name is Esther Kamene. She works at Machakos Level 5 Hospital, and feel appreciated. This is where we cap matters. A Good Morning Kenya. Don't go too far. Senate proceedings are up next. I have been your host, Mike Migwi. Thank you for tuning in, and on behalf of my colleagues, enjoy the rest of your viewing. Good morning.